on my anniversary live celebrating 8 years in business. And super excited about that because everybody don't make it to 8 years. Everybody don't make it to 8 years. Um, Let me see. I gotta understand how TikTok works. So this is my first time going live on TikTok, y'all. So give me a little grace over here on the tick of the talk. But I'm hoping that y'all are gonna be able to pick up what I'm putting down. Because like I said, I'm celebrating 8 years. And that is a really big deal. It's a really, really big deal. And I'm really excited to be going live to talk about what the past 8 years has been, for one, and for two, what's coming up for Cultivate next. What does it look like to work with Cultivate going forward in the future, in the year of 8? And what are we working on? What are we doing, right? And so let me see. If you are watching, I need you, one, to share this live. Two, I need you to let me know that you're here so I can speak, and let me know that you're here celebrating with me for 8 years. And then let me know if you can hear me okay as well too, because this mic wasn't working well the other day. So I just want to make sure that y'all can hear me and see everything that I got going on. Can you see? Can you hear? Let me know the things. Let me know. And let me get some things straight with the Wi-Fi. Um, let me get some things straight with the Wi-Fi to make sure we're good there. And yep, we are. Okay. So hey y'all, welcome to my anniversary live, my 8 years, celebrating 8 years in business today as of 7/28/25. And I'm super excited to be doing that. I'm also going to be doing a free training. So as my give back activity today for my live, for my 8 year celebration, I'm going to do a little training. I initially was going to do a webinar setup for a specific topic that was centered around the small business reset. So as most of you all know that a lot of us are going through like a reset right now. A lot of us are pivoting. A lot of us are trying to figure out like what does the next version or rendition of our business look like. A lot of us are trying to figure out, hey Kim, a lot of us are trying to figure out, do we even want to keep the business that we currently have? A lot of us are trying to figure out some personal things as well, some personal identity things. So if you're currently going through an identity shift, I know for me, hey y'all on TikTok, I know for me personally, every year around this time, like going into August, September, October, I have like these major identity shifts, like major. I have major identity shifts. I have major shifts in my business where things just change. They just aren't the same anymore. They're different. And I usually have to end up pivoting or restructuring or revamping or reinventing, reintroducing, all of those things that calls for you to evolve and stretch, right? And right now, I could definitely say that I'm in a stretch season. So if you're watching this live, I'm definitely gonna go over what like the past 8 years has been like for a service provider. Hey, Katura, what the past 8 years has been like for a service provider, but also what it takes to scale to six figures with Sanity. The three systems that you need to be able to scale to six figures with Sanity, because that's the biggest thing that I have learned on this journey for sure, is that you are going to stress yourself out. Hey, Nikki, you are going to stress yourself out if you don't have certain things in place to help you scale your business with Sanity, right? So if we do it what we call like the culture's way, you know, grind hard, don't sleep. I'm gonna sleep when I die, those types of things. I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm 8 years in, and I'm at the point now where it's like, no, we got to do this a little different, because your body will shut down on you, your brain will shut down on you, your mind will shut down on you, your nervous system will shut down on you. There's so many things that will happen when you don't take care of yourself. And if you can't take care of yourself in the process of you building a 6, 7, 8 figure empire, there's no reason for you to build it, right? You won't be able to enjoy it if you're sick. You won't be able to enjoy it if you're not alive. You won't be able to do any of the things that you want to do, right? So I'm definitely going to talk about the 3 systems that every founder needs to hit six figures with Sanity. Like I said, I was going to initially do that as a webinar tonight, but I decided that I wasn't going to do that. But anyway, so let's just go ahead and get into it. So Cultivate has been around for 8 years, you all. 8 years, over 4 million hours of service to small business owners and entrepreneurs, helping them scale, grow their business, reach next levels, have identity shifts, accomplish corporate contracts, brand partnerships, business growth, hitting their 5, 6, 7 figures. Just so many things, creating community connections, and building with, different people in the community. So many different things that happened over the past 8 years. And some things have been really great and some things have really sucked. But regardless of what it was, whether it was something that was great or whether it was something that sucked, whether it was something that sucked, it literally was all a part of this bigger picture that you see in front of you right now. So if you are somebody who has been following me on this journey for a while and who has been a part of my journey, even if you have been somebody who has been a friend, you have been somebody who has been wise counsel, you have been somebody who was a client, who desires to be a client, whatever the case may be, whoever you were as a part of this journey, a previous coach, a mentor that I've had, whoever you have been as a part of this journey, I definitely thank you for the good, bad, and the ugly, because everything definitely has not been pretty. But the thing is, what I have learned, especially over like the past, we'll say like 2 weeks, I've had to really get somewhere and sit still and say, Tanika, what do you really want? What is it that you really want? I am not somebody, quite honestly, that needs more business strategy. I really don't need another business coach. I'm gonna be very, very honest. I really don't need anybody to really feed me any business strategy right now because I know a lot and I know what I know and I'm solid in what I know. I also know how to put it into action and put it into play. So I'm one of those people that I know the thing and I know how to do the thing, right? But I said, what is it that I really, really want? What is it that I really, really want? And what does it look like? I had a hard conversation with myself about a shift in my identity in terms of my ambition. And so, for those of you that know me, you know that I'm super, super ambitious, have always been super, super ambitious. I'm talking about like back in the day, University of Memphis, high school days when I was working 2 or 3 jobs at a time and still had my side hustles going on the side. I've always been super, super, super ambitious, right? And so, thank you, Couture. And so, the thing is, that ambition literally has followed me throughout my life and throughout pretty much anything that I've ever done. But when I turned 30, I'm 35, so about 5 years ago, when I ended up turning 30, I literally, hey Antoinette, I literally had like a hard stop. I told myself that I never wanted to work 2 or 3 jobs again. I told myself that this basically can be life. I told myself that it had to be something out there better than what it was that I was experiencing in terms of what I was told I was supposed to do. Granted, it may have been by, from my parents, and it may have been, according to them, wishing or teaching me well or guiding me well. But some of it was also a trap, and they may or may not have known that. And when you take those behaviors and those habits and the things that you have been knowingly doing, I'm going to say personally for me, from the age of 13 clean up until about 31, it is really hard to break those cycles. It is really hard to break those habits. It is really hard to reform and restructure your mind to start to look at something different, to start to understand something different. And this is why I used to talk about the power of evolution so much. It is literally a hack, a life hack for you to be able to have. It is a life hack. you have to be okay with unlearning, because there's a lot of parts in your journey that you are going to have to unlearn. You're going to have to restructure, and you're going to have a lot of come to Jesus meetings with yourself about what it is that you want and how you want to get there, whose opinions and perspectives you're going to put in the back seat and say, let's go. Right. And like I said, over the past 2 weeks, I've been having that hard conversation with myself, because yes, I was influenced by a lot of the things that my parents said that they wanted me to do, but honestly, they weren't necessarily the best things for me to do, right? And a lot of that hustle that I have and had at the time was very, very unhealthy. That led me to gain weight. That led me to have a disrupted nervous system, because a lot of time I wasn't getting sleep, because like I said, I had 2 or 3 jobs most of the time and was still just showing up. And I remember my mom used to tell me all the time how she didn't understand how I was able to show up and still be able to function working a day job, a nighttime job, and a PRN job, and still being able to take care of things that she needed me to take care of around the house, still being able to go hang out with my friends if I had time and energy to go hang out with them, still being able to handle my responsibilities and do the things that I needed to do and meet people where I said I would meet them, right? And so she always used to say, like, I don't understand where you get all this ambition from, because it's not from me. And she's right, it's not from her. And it's not from my father, because my father's not ambitious whatsoever, right? So with what I was dealing with was something that nobody in my family, for the most part, that I really know of, had really ever displayed. And so when we try to think about having conversations around this, it was like, who in my family could I go to, or who in my circle could I go to actually talk about, is this healthy? Is this working in my favor? Is there a better way of life for me to have? And I really didn't have that. There was only one person in my family that probably could have offered that information, but that person is still not willing. Let's put it that way, right? And the thing is, this climb that I've been on from the age of 30, because I started having like this real loud spiritual awakening at the age of 30. And this climb that I've been on, hey Elle, this climb that I have been on has really been since the age of 30. Like when I really started waking up, I really started assessing the things that are going on around me. I really started paying attention to my intuitiveness. I really started paying attention to like energy and like how I associate with people and how I engage with people and how they engage with me, how they see me, how they perceive me, what they speak upon me, things like that. I really started paying a whole lot closer attention to those things. And I started leaning into some of the things that I knew were beneficial. And I started creating boundaries around the things that I knew that were probably harming me once I realized like they were harmful. One of the discussions that I've had previously with my therapist was that because I used to work so much and I used to grind so hard and I used to just be basically like on autopilot, like 24/7, is that a lot of the stuff that started bubbling up in terms of emotions, skeletons in the closet, if you will, that may or may not have been yours, family things that may have been swept up under the rug for so many years. A lot of those things started bubbling up around 30. And so what I had to explain to her, I was like, I don't understand why all of these things are starting to hit right now, when I'm like, okay, I finally have released this idea. Hey, Fred, I finally have released this idea that I have to hustle this hard. I have to be exhausted all the time. I have to miss out on special occasions and special moments with my friends because I have to go to work. When I started realizing how unhealthy that was, all of these emotions started bubbling up because I was standing still. It wasn't that I was on the go all the time. See, I was on the go all the time because I was going back and forth to all of these jobs, and I didn't have time to actually process emotions and what abuse or trauma may have been occurring during those years. So you think about what it looks like for somebody to try to process abuse and emotion from the age of 13 clear up to about 31 years of age. That's a little over 15 years, right? And can you imagine trying to break free, create a new foundation, a new life, a new identity, a new way of looking at things that may not have ever been looked at that way in your family or in your lineage before, and trying to be the one that's breaking through? Just trying to be that person, trying to figure out who can you have these conversations with, who can you go and talk to, who can you talk to about what it looks like to actually do something different other than working a 9 to 5. And this is not a shot at working a 9 to 5, because I tell y'all all the time, if I could really find one that's really flexible and really fits what I like to do, cool. But for the most part, I don't want to have one. And I think it's because of all the torture that I've had in the past from working them, right? But when I had to slow down and really understand like how unhealthy that was to try to keep grinding and keep going and keep working towards what I thought was just me being ambitious and responsible, and me trying to be there for my mom, and try to be that person that she needed, because my parents got divorced at 13, it was like a hard stop. It was like, we gotta actually sit down and like process these things. We still gotta keep going in life, but like, because we're moving slower and not as fast, these things are coming up and they're not just gonna disappear. So now we have to deal with them. Right. Hey, Miss Cheryl. So proud of your growth and your self-awareness. I'm always rooting for you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. And so having to process all of that and work through all of that from the age of 30, when I finally started having that awareness, to where I am now. And where I am now, of course, I'm way more aware than what I was before. I'm way more aware than what I was before. And some parts of it is a little bit scary, and some parts of it is a blessing. Like it's like two sides to every coin, right? But for the most part, those skills that I beat me up and tearing me and tearing me up and wouldn't let me loose. A lot of the things that I picked up, a lot of the skills, a lot of the encounters, a lot of the experiences that I picked up during those times, I have been able to leverage those as areas of opportunity now, because my perspective is different. My mindset is different. My makeup and my being is a little bit different, right? The way I process things is different. And the way that I actually digest things is a little bit different right now as well, too. So if you think about all of that, and you think about like just through your own timeline, whatever age you are, right? Think about how many times you have had to have like a hard mindset shift, a hard identity shift, because the different environments that you were in called for you to stretch and evolve into something. It may or may not have been a good thing. It just depends on what was going, but you did what you needed to do to adapt. So when we start looking at what that looks like to do that by choice, because you decide that you want to have something better for you than what's actually given to you, it looks a little different. And it's actually a bit harder, because when we're put in situations psychologically to where we have to be in fight or flight, most of us are going to fight. That's just what it looks like. So a lot of the identities that we have had in the past, a lot of the stretching and the shifting that we had to do in the past is very, very different than just being willing to say, okay, today is the last day that this is going to be the way that this is, right? Today is the last day. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm about to make a change. That is so much harder than when you're forced into a corner that life puts you in and assigns you to, and says, hey, it's either this way or no way. It's a whole lot harder. And some people will say that it's not, but I'm telling you that it is. Because especially in the age that we are in, so of course we had like the age of information right now, right? But of course, like we're in like the age of technology now, right? Or maybe a combination of the two, if you're real. There is so much easy access to so much different information that is out there. It's almost like it's information overload. It's like the information is drowning the information at this point. It's so much information out there, right? And so at this point, what people are seeking is no longer just information. They can't just seek information, because the excuse that you determine that you feel like there's not enough information available for you to make whatever move it is that you're trying to make, you are now developing excuses, flat out excuses. There is no other reason behind it besides an excuse. If there's so much information out there now that, like I said, the information is swallowing up the other information, right? So you're at the point where now you have to filter, and you have to work through, and you have to be mindful of what information you absorb and attempt to apply. And you have a lot of people that are absorbing a lot of information, and they're not attempting to apply because it's just so much out there and they don't know what to do with it. And I know over the years, I have spoken with a lot of you all, a lot of you all have given you several strategies, several keys, several renditions of what you could and probably should consider for doing for your business, and even just you as an individual when it comes in terms of mindset. Because y'all know I'm very heavy when it comes to mindset, probably because mine be getting tore up a lot. But I'm able to go through there to be able to help somebody else, right? But hey, Ocean, I have helped so many of you all. And sometimes when you all like come in my DMs, or when I see you all come in, or when you just pop up on my timeline, I'm like, dang, I wonder if they did X, Y, and Z that we talked about, before. Because I haven't necessarily seen it, but I'm like, I just wonder. And sometimes I'll roll in y'all DM, or I'll send you a text if I had your number, and I say, well, hey, how is X, Y, and Z going? I have, yes, you have especially helped me. Yes, I love talking to you, Katura. I'll roll up in your inbox. I say, hey, how's X, Y, and Z going? And then you come and tell me like, well, the thing is, it's not. And I'm like, well, why not? We are in a period now where you can't just sit on information anymore. And I know y'all get tired of me saying that, but I'm being very, very realistic. Very, very realistic. We are in a period where you can't just sit on information anymore. You can't just sit and wait for somebody to spoon feed you. You have to actively and proactively take action in what it is that you really have the option to just say, oh, well, I went to this class and I got the information and they laid out the strategy and I did what I needed to do. Okay, so now you have to do the work. There's work that has to come behind it. And it's always going to be work. I think one of the hardest realizations that I've had as a business owner, especially over an 8-year period, is that it's always going to be work. You cannot avoid the work. You can't. There is no easy way to avoid the work. You're always going to have to set up a system, a structure, a something to be able to fulfill the work. Always. I don't care how much they talk about automation out here in these streets. I see it just like y'all see it. These bots and everything that they set up to be able to do all of this stuff. I get it. I get it. But even with that, somebody has to set that up for it to do the work. So the thing that you are avoiding, which I'm telling you, if most of you all would just sit down in like a weekend and just knock it out in a weekend, you would be so much further than where it actually is that you are now, right? You would have that 4 figures a month. You would have that 5 figures a month. You would have that 6 figures a month, or be well on your way. It is not impossible. And I want you to stop telling yourself that it's impossible. Now, are there other factors that may come into it? Yes. Have I had slow moments in my business where it seemed like that wasn't possible? Absolutely, over the period of 8 years. Honestly, over these past couple months, it's been pretty, it's been pretty icky. It's been pretty icky. But because I look at trends of industries, because I pay attention to how things shift, because I study how consumer behavior works, because I understand sales psychology and consumer psychology, I understand that if I want to continue to play this game, I have to reinvent. I have to pivot. I have to make a decision. Being in the place where you are in the place of indecision, you can't afford to stay there. You just can't afford to stay there anymore. You just can't. You can't do it. The longer you stay in a place of indecision about what it is that you want to do, hey, Clyde, and I'm talking to myself too, you all. Every time I'm talking to you all, I promise I'm talking to myself too. Because there's some places that I done slipped up. There's some things that I need to do better. It's always room for improvement with me. But you have to be in a place of calm, of being able to be still so you can hear, listen, dissect, digest, whatever it is that you need to do, and get this stuff up out of you. You cannot play this indecisive, chaotic game. I'm just going to stay in chaos, and I'm just going to wait to see what happens, and I'm just going to let other people determine for me, and I'm just going to keep telling myself that it's too hard, and I'm just going to say, well, I don't understand tech. I don't understand systems. I don't understand this. I can't build this out. I can't. Listen, if you are going to play this game and play it for the long haul, you absolutely have to get out of this rut of indecisiveness and choose how you're going to do, what you're going to do, and how you're going to do it. You have to. There are no excuses anymore. I cannot stress that enough. There are no excuses anymore. Those that want it can have it. They will have it. And it really, I don't want to really get on to like the word of consistency. That's not really the word that I want to use, because there are so many different factors out there now, especially when we start looking into like people's attention spans and stuff like that. Like it's so many things that you have to consider when you're doing marketing and you're putting your business out there and you're talking to people, you're presenting, you're doing all of these things. There are several things psychologically that you have to think about and consider in terms of making sure that you can hook somebody's attention, grasp their attention, and keep their attention long term, and then be able to build a relationship with them, build know, like, trust with them, build community with them. You have to keep their attention long enough. And it sucks. And the reason that we're like that, it goes back to what I said at the very beginning, because we are in a stage of information overload. Information is swallowing other information now. It's just so much information that it's just causing people to just be like ADHD rampant. And ADHD diagnoses have went up, right? Consistency doesn't mean once a day. It could be once a week. Exactly. Depending on the type of platform you're on, depending on what your strategy is, depending on what your approach is and your outcome is, right? You have to consider all of these things. That's another thing that I want you all to understand as well, too. You all have to stop piecing things together. You have to build a system that is going to support you. And I say support you with sanity. I'm telling you, because you will stress yourself out. You will worry yourself to death. You will burn yourself out. When I tell you, when I stopped working all of them jobs and I got a chance to stand still, when I tell you burnout hit me really, 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 really hard, I'm still low key trying to recover from burnout. And it's been about 5 years since I slowed down from working all them jobs that I was working. It will hit you really, really hard if you don't set up your structure, if you don't set up your system, and if you don't have your strategy that aligns with what it is that you're trying to do in terms of an outcome. You cannot just wake up and throw spaghetti at the wall. You can't do that. A lot of you are frustrated because of that. There has to be some sort of pathway that is developed, even if you're not sure that that pathway is going to work. You have to have a well thought out pathway to understand. I remember I was trying to host a class about having a digital marketing strategy. Nobody registered for the class. No, one person registered for the class. And it kind of hurt me because I was like, if people knew what was coming up, they would lock in more into this to understand what it takes to actually build this out and be successful at this. And even me personally, even though I know how to teach it and I know what goes into it, there's still some parts in my own business that I haven't implemented some of those things. But I know I can. It's not impossible for me to do, right? But I remember when I was trying to bring that as a class to teach, and I only had one person register. And me and her had a ball. She got to work with me one-on-one for a very low cost, right? We had a ball. But I think about that all the time. I think about how I have served. Again, let me tell you, let me clock you 4 million hours over a period of 8 years. This is free classes, sessions. That ain't even clocking the hours of people just randomly out with me. They just run into me and just start talking to me. And then they find out what I do. And then we have conversations. That ain't even clocking them hours. But I'm talking about intentional 4 million hours with so many business owners, having so many discussions, making sure that you all know and understand that I am who I am. My credentials speak for themselves. My receipts speak for themselves. My work speaks for itself. My community development speaks for itself. My connections speak for themselves. I have the receipts, right? But it's still sometimes like pulling teeth, trying to get people to do some things for themselves, to set themselves up for long-term success. And it bothers me sometimes. Well, not anymore. It used to. Let me roll back. It used to bother me when I know I would have conversations with some of these people in the DM, and then I would scroll across my timeline, and it's like, well, I need a business coach. I need a mentor. We just had a conversation in the DM. I just literally gave you a free strategy. I'm talking about hours and hours and hours that I've given and served. Have you been talking to supporters or people who actually need or will use your support? That's good. That's good. And I don't know if you're asking me or if you just commenting, but that's good. That's something to think about, right? That's something to think about. Have you been talking to supporters or people who actually need or will use your support? You have to think about that. So when you are building your audience, when you are saying that you're building community, when you are talking to people, you have to know who you're talking to and what side of the fence that they're on. If you don't have people who are primed and ready to actually work with you or actually, be in the mindset of they need to be prepared to invest something. Hey, Amanda, thank you. Then the conversation and the responses and the reactions are going to look very different. They're not going to look the same, which is why I say you can't just wake up and determine that you're just going to throw spaghetti at the wall. You can't do that. Because most people on my timeline or just on social media in general, right, will say, well, I posted today. I did put a post up. Listen, the algorithm ain't fair, but it does favor what it favors. And I can't tell you exactly specifically what that is, but I know that just thinking that I posted today, thinking that that's going to be what locks your success in is wild. Thinking that is all it takes. That's not a system. Social media is not a strategy. Yes, Miss Cheryl. People have to wonder for themselves. Social media by itself is not a strategy. It's not. Just having a conversation with somebody is not a strategy. It's just not. You have to have the structure, you have to have the system, you have to understand your outcomes, you have to know your inputs and your outputs. You have to do your research and understand, what does this level of success actually require me to do in terms of showing up? Is it going to stretch me thin? And I'm here to tell you that it will. It will. Especially when you don't have a system behind the scenes after you have done all of that work to support you in making that work worthwhile. So what I'm going to do is, on that note, we're going to go ahead and pivot into the free training and talk about the 3 systems that every founder needs to hit 6 figures with Sanity. And I mean this from the bottom of my soul, from somebody who's experienced it, lived it, still going through it, right? I mean it. So a lot of these things will probably sound redundant, but it's because I feel like I have to repeat myself so much because I know you all, some of you all haven't showed up in the spaces that I would love to see you show up in. And I know that you could do it. So I know that it got to be, oh, I need to keep repeating the same thing until you just get it. Like one day you just gonna wake up and you just gonna get it. That's my hope. But it might not always work that way, right? It might not always work that way. So the first thing, of course, is gonna be offer clarity and pricing. I got my little notes over here because sometimes I be forgetting stuff. First thing is gonna be offer clarity and pricing. This is your revenue foundation. One of the main reasons small business owners are not able to necessarily stay in business is because they don't think about cash flow enough. They don't think about how many conversations they need to have, how many people they need to DM, how many events they need to participate in or attend, how many posts they actually need to post, and how much follow-up strategy behind those posts they actually need to have. How many touch points of a lead that you have, you need to engage. People don't think about that. They say the cash flow is not there. I guarantee you, most of you all that are watching me right now have a community and you haven't done probably enough touch points with the people that probably really do want to work with you, me guilty included. There used to be a time where I was super, super intentional about making sure that I did enough touch points. And I'm getting back to that now that I've restructured things to look a little bit different and I have clarity on the direction that I'm going, right? But revenue foundation is literally like one of the keys to having a sustainable business that is going to keep you sane. If you actively are planning and putting in the effort to have those touch points, and it may take you 100 people before you finally get a yes. It may take you 100 events before you finally get a bigger opportunity. It may take a lot. In sales, it takes a lot. The number is high. It's not low. It's high. Sales is not hard, but the numbers are high. For you to have a high success rate in sales, you can't say, well, I want to be able to hit 6 figures in a month. You've only talked to 30 people. You've only gotten your business in front of 30 people. Unless you have something that is majorly high ticket, that or these 30 people are in like a corporate or government space, and you can hit that with that, 30 people not going to be enough for you to talk to for your direct consumer offer and the pricing structure that you have around it. 30 people is not enough. It's not enough. You are not setting yourself up for success with numbers, number-wise, in terms of touch points and exposure. That is what a lot of small business owners don't get. They don't understand. It's always, well, I posted, I shared this, I did this. Okay, you're going to have to do it a lot more. And you're also going to have to consider other strategies that don't even entail social media. Unless you have an e-com business, like e-commerce, you're going to have to consider other strategies that are not related to just being on social media and the internet. But when you do that, you have to make sure that, again, you have a strategic plan behind why you're choosing that strategy and why you're going that direction. Why is it going to work the way that you need it to work? Not just doing it to be doing it. That is another way that you can crash out, burn out, whatever the word is that the kids is using now. There's another way that you could do that. When you come up with something, but you don't know the direction that you're going, you will burn out very, very fast. Because it makes you feel mentally like you're not doing it for any particular reason. You'll start asking yourself, well, why am I doing this? I'm not seeing any results. But you don't even understand or realize that you're not doing it effectively. There's a difference between doing something and doing something effectively. Two different things. Two different things. So you want to make sure you have clear, compelling offers. This is whether you are selling a product or a service. It does not matter. If people don't understand why your product is beneficial to them, they're not going to buy it. People don't understand why your service is not beneficial to them, they're not going to buy it. It's not rocket science, right? Your pricing has to be for profit and not burnout. You have to price enough, especially if you're in the service-based space. You need to be able to price enough to be able to take good care of people. Because one thing you don't want is for you to price something and then you get paid for it and be in the middle of delivering the said service and you just like, I don't want to do this. Your whole demeanor changes because you feel like you didn't get paid enough for it to do the work once you start actually putting forth the workload. That's a real thing. That's a real mental block that some people have as service providers because they underestimate the amount of human hours, energetic exchange hours that has to go into actually delivering said service to somebody in a prestigious manner. They underestimate that. So you need to be able to price for profit because ideally, if you're pricing something at $500, that whole $500 is not going in your pocket. There are some expenses that are going to come out of that 500, and you have to consider that, right? I know from the outside looking in as a consumer, consumers probably think most times that if we charge 500 for something, that whole 500 is going in our pocket. That's not how it works. If you're a consumer that doesn't have a business, that's not how it works. We have bills and expenses. Those of us that are like really running the business, we have bills and expenses, systems that we use, maybe freelancers that we have to pay, 1099 contractors, things like that, that we have to include. And a lot of the time when service-based providers especially are putting their prices on the line, they do not consider, well, if I'm the one that doesn't want to do the work and I want to pass this off to a 1099 contractor, I have to be able to price enough to be able to make sure like I can pay for the work, I can put something in my pocket, and I can pay for what can help us get the work done. Right? That's so real. I experienced that when I first started out. Me too. I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know when I first started out. I came on the scene, oh, I'm gonna do my sessions for $100. And my coaching session is gonna be $100. And baby, by the time we got to the end of these conversations, because I didn't know I needed to put a time cap on this $100 session, baby, the conversations were too long for the $100. I ain't want to do it no more. I ain't want to do it no more. I wanted to up the price because I was like, well, baby, if I'm being on the phone talking or on a Zoom call talking to people for, 2 hours, I need to get paid more than $100 and then have to hear all the things as a life coach, right? I need to get paid more than that, right? So magnetic messaging and storytelling, because there is so much information overload and there's so much that's going into having to figure out how do you actually convey what it is that you want to convey, how do you actually describe intentionally the transformation that you're looking to describe, how do you actually do these things, right? You have to get really good with your messaging. As a small business owner, you have to be really, really good with speaking, writing, and storytelling. You have to be really, really good with it. If you're not good with that, it's going to seem like trying to formulate paragraphs, sentences, descriptions, transformations, case studies, whatever it is that you're needing to put together to articulate and transfer the benefit of this said service or product. It's going to make that seem very, very difficult. If you're somebody who doesn't talk a lot, you don't write a lot, you don't know how to really put words together, like it's going to be hard. Your messaging plays a role into that, right? And as consumers, from a psychological perspective, you can't just get on the platform and say, hey, I got these for sale, you need to buy them. Sometimes that may work. But if you expect to get on your platform and do that every time thinking that somebody's going to purchase from you, you're going to get real mad one day you log into social media and that doesn't make you any more sales. Because we need more. We need more than you just telling us to buy. You don't need to tell us to buy. We already know we should buy. I see it. Tell me why. Why should I buy? What would happen if I didn't buy? Tell me about that. If I don't buy this, what would happen? Hook me in and tell and say something like that. Your business is failing because you don't have XYZ. You haven't done this thing. You haven't booked this service. You haven't let us help. You haven't let us help you do whatever. Oh, that catches my attention. You can make and build content around that, right? So you have to get really good with messaging and articulating. And like I said, we're in the age of technology now. You have assistants. AI could be your assistant. You have to be able to feed it what it is that you sound like so it can help you structure that. But even with AI and prompting, a lot of people are kind of intimidated by that because they don't know how to write good prompts. And you just simply saying that you don't know how to write a good prompt and using and leveraging that as an excuse to not have to include technology inside of your business, I don't know what to tell you in the next 5 years. You won't have a business. You won't have one. It'll be really hard for you to survive in the next 5 years. You have to get good at these things. Invest in classes. Invest in the coach. These are the things that you need coaches for. Invest in the classes, invest in the coach, invest in the program. But don't do it willy-nilly. Understand your need and seek the solution for that need so you don't feel like you're wasting your money or your time, right? Number 2, this is the number 2 thing. 3 systems every founder needs to hit 6 figures with Sanity. Oh, hold on. Let me go back. Let me go back to number 1. We're talking about offer clarity, pricing, and revenue foundation. The other thing that you need to have that goes with number 1 in terms of your revenue, you need to have some recurring revenue involved in your business. If you do not have some form of a recurring revenue model in your business, you are going to tank out. Ask me how I know. I learned the hard way. You have to have some form of recurring revenue in your business. Some form of self-serve, some form of digital, like a digital product, some form of a membership or subscription. You have to have multiple streams of recurring revenue in your business. You cannot be the only one that is going to get revenue for your business. Meaning that the revenue only shows up when you show up. You will kill yourself. You will hate your business. You will hate your gift. You will hate everything that you're doing. And you will shut it down because you're doing it the wrong way. You're doing it the wrong way. And I don't want that to be you. Again, 8 years, clocking 8 years today. I'm telling you, I know what I know. I'm telling you, right? Figure out what that recurring revenue, get a few of them in your business, what that recurring revenue is going to look like in your business. Integrate that into your revenue structure. That is going to keep you sane, knowing that you have that coming in every month, right? That you're not necessarily starting off every month at 0. That is going to keep you sane. It's going to keep you whole. Trust me. Number 2, simple systems and automation. I know you all have been drowned about you need this funnel, that funnel, this tech, that tech, this platform, that platform, this email, this CRM, this project management software, this, that, all these things. I get it. I really do. And for most people who don't really understand it, it just sounds like a bunch of gibberish. You don't know what to do with it. A system literally is just a process. It's literally what it is. It is just a platform that helps you execute a specific process efficiently. That is all it is. So, manually, what this looks like is you have to develop a process. And I know a lot of you all are not process oriented, but here's my challenge for you, especially for those of you that may still be working a 9 to 5. The reason that you are at your 9 to 5 until you decide to take the leap, start the side hustle, do the business, whatever, unless you're going to be there forever, the reason you are at your 9 to 5 right now is to study. And I mean study to show yourself approved. Okay? While you are at your 9 to 5, you need to study how do they create processes? How do they come up with systems? What does it look like to build this for a Fortune 100, Fortune 50, Fortune 500 company? Because those are the same skill sets that you're going to need to do it for your business when it happens. So when you pay attention to that and you see how they do it, when you come into your business, it shouldn't seem so hard because you have a blueprint that you have studied during your time that you have been working your 9 to 5 and doing your thing. You should be studying everything that they're doing if you plan to run or own a company. That is your time to study. That is your time to do trial and error. That is your time to try the thing while you still have some consistent cash flow from somewhere else coming in. That is your time to do that. So if you have the luxury of that, these are the things that you need to be doing while that is happening, right? So this is what's going to help you build consistency in your business. When you have a process that is repeatable, it's consistent, you already know what the outcome is going to be. You want to have lots of those in your business. You should have a process for just about everything. Automate your key touch points, whether it's generating leads, your onboarding process, your client delivery. If those are things that you need to figure out how to automate those. Create the structure, create the system. I don't even care if you don't use tech. Figure out what it looks like manually and just have the confidence in knowing that if I get a client today, I know step by step exactly what it is that I'm going to do. Because some of you all do not have won't go after clients because you're like, I don't know what to do. I'm not prepared. And I'm telling you, you're overthinking it. Sometimes you can get lucky and use your first client as the opportunity for you to build out that process and that structure. That is where you can get your trial and error from. That is the only way you really can get trial and error. You have to be willing to step out and secure your first client. You're not completely clueless. I promise you're not. You just think you are because you've never done it for yourself. But when you do it for yourself, repeatedly, you build a process, you build a system, you build a structure. And that is how you learn. That also gives you the confidence to go and put yourself out there even more, because you'll realize that if you build that system, that structure, that process, and you were able to close one sale, it'll give you the confidence to go and ask for more. These are the intangible things that help you make money that people don't like to talk about. They don't like to consider. They don't like to look at because they're not pretty and they're not just like, hey, here's the money. But again, you'll be burnt out getting money, 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 and not having no structure. It will burn you out. It will burn you out. Okay? Streamline your back end and stop leaking your time and your money. The quicker that you can streamline a process and a thing, the quicker that you can take your time back and even oftentimes your money back. Because the time that you're spending trying to do all of those things that may be necessary or not necessarily necessary, you're losing time and you're losing money. Money in terms of you could be doing more constructive things like following up with leads or actually generating leads, building a pipeline. You don't want to leave money on the table because you're spending time doing things that you really don't want to have to do every time you have to do them. If you can automate it, I'm not saying you can automate everything 100%, but if you can automate it, figure out how to get it done so you can take your time and your money back. It sounds difficult, but it's not. Build workflows, processes, clear strategies. You cannot scale in chaos. So clear strategies. I want to hone in on that. Clear strategies. Again, if you know, for an example, Facebook and LinkedIn are going to be your platforms. Each one of those platforms are different. So the way that you actually approach them probably is going to be strategically different. You have to understand your strategy so you can understand your input and your output to understand what the expected result should be. If you don't understand the playground that you're playing in, you're going to just be doing anything and then get frustrated about why it's not working. So there are some assessments. There are some there are some points of clarity that you have to be able to select what's going to be the best vehicle for you to execute a process. We have to consider those things more because we need to consider where our time is going and where our energy is going. And it only works if you're working right at the right thing, right? Because again, I love saying this and I'm going to keep on saying it. If you're trying to sell meat to vegans, they don't want to buy it. They don't care how you package it up and tell them what it is. They're vegans, they don't want it. So you want to make sure that you're in the correct space, executing the correct strategy for the correct result. I cannot stress that enough. That is a lot of you all stress right there. Okay. Number 3, develop CEO habits and business infrastructure. I cannot stress that enough. A lot of you all do not have a proper infrastructure, and it's frustrating you and the people that are trying to help you. So if you know that you have not developed these habits, you don't have this business model infrastructure that you need to be able to perform efficiently and effectively, you need to figure out what that is and get it in place, because it's only going to frustrate you. The more and more you try to get into it, the deeper you get into it, it's going to become more and more frustrating. And so when it comes time for those big opportunities for you to scale or for you to take on larger projects, things like that, you're going to shrink back because you realize your infrastructure has holes in it. And you don't want those times to come up and you're not prepared, you're not ready. You haven't even considered them because you didn't even think they were possible because you were thinking too small. You have to build these habits as a CEO to think larger than what you can see. You have to. Leadership, this is leadership sustainability. So this is your core leadership behaviors. You have to be self-led in everything that you do. If you're going to be a business owner, you have to be self-led. You have to be proactive. Nobody's going to come tell you that you have to do X, Y, and Z. You have to wake up and do it and be willing to do it yourself without anybody coming to remind you. Right? You have to develop weekly routines. You have to review your financials. You have to review your plans and do planning regularly. You need to know what's going on with the heartbeats of your business, the operational infrastructure of your business. A lot of small business owners run away from this because we're creatives. Creatives love to create, but they hate the business of what they're creating. And I've learned that working with several of them over the years, right? But it does you well and your business well to actually know what's going on in and outside of it. So when it comes time for you to actually hire a business manager or get somebody to help you operationally that can speak the language that you don't want to speak and do the things that you don't want to do, you can know whether or not they're doing them correctly and not flying blindly. You should have a general awareness of what those things are in your business instead of just giving them away blind. We trust experts to be experts, but again, have some awareness. Self-awareness is part of a leadership core value. Being self-led and self-aware, those are leadership core values, right? Tools to measure success and failures, your progress. You need to track your progress. I've had the best months when I spent my time tracking my progress, tracking every lead that I talked to, the conversations that we had, how many touch points we had, how many people I talked to today, how many times did I post today, what reactions did I get that day, did I follow up with the people that engaged that day, did I have phone conversations this day, did I visit somebody out in the field. My best months have always come from me tracking what I'm doing. And when I don't track what I'm doing, I don't have the best months. I don't do well. And I get it. It can be strenuous, but again, it's a habit. You have to build the habit. Being a business owner is all about building habits, systems, structures, processes. It's literally getting rid of chaos is what it's all about. You signed up to be a full-time problem solver, and that includes you solving your own problems as well, right? Having boundaries and a mindset built for longevity. This is how you play the long game. These three things that I just reviewed, these are how you play the long game. This is how you scale with Sanity. This is how you put your infrastructures in place to help support you and not fail you. A lot of you all have infrastructures that are in place that have been put there, but they are failing you because they're not strong, they're not stable. They're missing things. They have holes in them. So you're like, I built the thing. Well, you haven't built it efficiently because maybe you're trying to skip around some things that you already have. Maybe you're trying to skip around some things and avoid some things that you have going on. And you don't want to do that. Remember, you don't want to cut corners. That's not what this is about. So scaling to six figures or more is going to always require leadership, and systems are not enough. The systems are not going to systematize themselves, right? So you can have systems, but if the systems are not systematized by you or somebody who specializes in that, they're not going to work by themselves, right? So you still have to develop the processes and understand what's going on in and outside of your business. So that's that. Hopefully you were able to take away something from that. But let me dive into if this was an effective training. If this was efficient for you and you're like, I need more of that, I need her help, I need to know how I can work with her, there are 3 ways that you could do so. And the link is in all of my bios, on all of my socials, it's in the comments, caption, it's in all of it. And I think it's time for me to get off now because my camera acting weird. But you can be a Facebook subscriber for $9.99 a month. And I can do challenges with you, exclusive content with you, and you can be a part of my exclusive Facebook community. It's $9.99 a month, $9.99, and you'll get some free digital products every month. This is for me to put you in the lab. It's called Her Alchemy Lab. This is for me to put you in the lab and let you test it out. Test it out. This is your training ground. This is your sacred space. This is a place where you can build your structure. You can Learn how to leverage your mindset and your feminine power. This is your space to be able to do that, to create those things. But it's me challenging you in your well-being as well too. So it's not just about business challenges, but also well-being challenges. But that's what that space is for. If you're like, that's not enough, if you say that's not enough, the Her Inner Alchemy monthly membership is open. It's available. It is a well-being membership. This membership is strictly for the women who are bold, who are leaning into their transitions, their reinvention, and they need help around their mindset and their restructuring. It is $99 a month. And we start, what is it, August 12th, I think is the date. I start August 12th meeting bi-weekly. This is the place where you get your mindset work, your identity work, your psychology work that you need with a little sprinkle of business stuff. Most of the people in this space are like, I have all of these business strategies, don't know how to bridge them between the identity shifts that I'm going through, the mindset shifts that I'm going through, creating these habits, developing my leadership. What are my rituals? What is going on to be able to be successful with these strategies? Her Inner Alchemy well-being membership, that's the space for you. Okay. Lastly, if you're somebody who's just like, forget all of that, I want strictly strategy. Teach me how to set up the systems. Teach me digital skills. Teach me how to put the structures together, make them effective and efficient. You need to be in the Profit Pathway Academy. It's $197 a month. Again, you can find all of these offers at the links that are available in the captions, comments, bios, all of that. You can also DM me the word alchemy to learn more if you have questions about what's the best step for you. This is how you will be able to work with Cultivate going forward. I will only be coaching inside of my membership communities. There is a paywall for everything now. I've served, I've given a lot for free. I've helped a lot of people in my spare time and in my not so spare time. I've given, and poured. Some of you all have performed and showed up. Some of you all have not. These are the ways that you can work with Cultivate now. I announced a little while back that I wouldn't be doing any one-to-one coaching for direct to consumer. I would only be partnering with organizations that have programs to be able to do stuff like that. But if you are looking for communities where you can be able to get the resources that you need, get the help that you need, get the structure that you need from an expert, these are the spaces and the choices that you have to work with Cultivate. I've created a space for mindset, well-being practice, and identity and psychological safety. I've created a space for those that are ambitious, they want the business, they want the skills, they want to elevate fairly quickly. Those are the two options that I have available. For those of you that need to dip your toe in the water, become a Facebook subscriber and see what I have to offer. If you need case studies, if you need receipts, if you need video reviews, I can show you all of those as well too. Okay. But my offer to you is to come home to yourself, to figure out what it is that you really want, how you want to show up and go after it. That is my offer to you. I'm hoping that I'll see you inside of one of them, if not all of them, and that you'll get in line with getting your business on board and in order, because you're running out of time. And I'm not just saying that to be saying that, it's realistic. Y'all see what's going on with the world. I see what's going on with the world. Things are shifting quicker than we can blink. You do not want to be on the other side of just waiting and being indecisive. I don't have to explain how reputable I am. I don't have to explain how credentialed and qualified I am. Y'all know this. For those that don't know, just ask. And I'll talk to you separately. But this is the direction that I'm going in. Also developing my personal brand. I'll be launching a podcast, so you'll be able to get some more free business gems over there once I launch that. But really working on honing in on my personal brand and what I want that to look like, and just bringing everything holistically together. This is the next version of Cultivate. This is the year of 8. This is what it looks like to evolve, to transform, to reinvent yourself, to not quit, to not give up as much as you tell yourself that you want to. This is what this looks like. Real, intentional, and raw. I thank you all that have tuned in for tonight to celebrate with me for my 8-year anniversary. I hope this free training that I have given you has been powerful, and I hope that you are able to take some of the things that I have said and implement and integrate them into your daily lives as business owners and or career professionals, because you can use them in both spaces. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close out and wrap up my live. If you watch the replay, you can still comment. I'll follow back with responses behind the comments. For those of you that tuned in and watched it live, I appreciate you. And I will see you all on the next live. But here's and cheers to the year of 8. I'm super excited to see what the next year offers me. And let's get it done, you all. Let's get it done. Several women have asked me for these spaces, this assistance, and I'm ready to help. I'm ready to lean in so you can get to where you need to be. All right. So that's it. See you all on the next live.